Bookborn, we're coming for you. We're tired of you spreading lies in the book community. We're here to, we're always right about everything, and I feel like this deep need to spread the truth that we have to the rest of you. So Bookborn has a video talking about the nature of spoilers and how they don't matter, apparently, and we're here to debunk that.
And not just Bookborn. We're coming for Bookborn specifically because it helps with the click-through rate, okay? Bookborn has a great booktube channel, but not better than ours. so Bookborn and a lot of YouTubers I've seen in the book space and so forth have been spreading this study. And based on, you could see the title of this video of saying spoilers actually help stories, and they actually, if you're spoiled something, it increases your enjoyment. That's what the study's claiming, and that's what these booktubers and also other YouTubers are explaining. They look at the study and go, look, I think our misconceptions about spoilers were wrong, and Richard and I are here to show why the study's wrong, why spoilers do matter, and why our feelings are hurt.
And also why science in general is bunk. Never call me a man of science. If you bring me a study, I'm gonna start bringing to you my ideas and my own opinions, and they're just as valuable. I would say more valuable than studies. You
can't look at a study if you yourself can't be studied. No one understands you as an enigma. So how can you look to things and no, it just doesn't make sense.
No, exactly. Now, I am always going to go with my opinion and personal experience over what some lab coat tells me.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's why we are here to look. We're going to break the study down. Now, the actual thing is called this. It is called Story Spoilers Don't Spoil Stories. And
say that 3 times fast.
Never. This study, which all these YouTubers are, and by the way, go check out Bookborn and tell her we'd love to collab with her. But we're gonna trash her right now. So, and to be fair, they have a more nuanced take where they're also talking about there's caveats to this, of course. But what the study is trying to tell you is that if you are spoiled a story, book and so forth, you will actually enjoy it more. Psychologically, we think we're gonna like it less, but this shows data-wise we enjoy it more. It's wrong, of course. Now here's why. So what this study did, it took hundreds of participants, and it had different subject groups where one group was given a story, and that's it, just a story, and they had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. Another group, I think they had 2 other groups. One, they were spoiled in different ways, but the other groups that were spoiled were given a paragraph summary of spoilers, what happens in the story, the ending, and a lot of these stories were mysteries, and irony twist endings, so it mattered. And they were given spoilers, and they also had to rate the story 1 out of 10. Now, the group who read the stories that were spoiled ended up liking the stories more. This is such a tongue twister, so many S's in here. But they actually liked the stories more than the non-spoilered, the going in blind group. They gave each group 12 stories, and 11 out of the 12 were scored higher amongst the spoilered group than the non-spoilered group. Henceforth, you enjoy spoilers more if you're spoiled the story. Oh, that's a lot to say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and in certain aspects, I can see it being the case. So in a short story, it makes a bit more sense, but this actually applies to a lot of other things, is when there's a cathartic release when you know something's going to happen, and then it happens.
Yeah.
So in music, if the reason why everyone loves the chorus is because you know what the chorus is, and then when the band actually plays it, you feel in on it. It's a part. You feel like you're a part of the song then. It's kind of like why repetition matters so much in music. Mm-hmm. People really like it when you repeat stuff because they know what's going to happen. Or with a musical scale, going do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, do.
No.
What?
You're off.
How off was that?
Very.
Oh.
But everyone has that note in their head, and there's a cathartic release when they actually complete the scale.
Yeah.
And so the same thing with some spoilers can act as, hey, I know what's going to happen. Oh, and then it happens. It's a cathartic release.
Yeah, the study went into a little bit of why people felt stronger and that about the spoilers. That, hey, you feel in on it. You get all those good feelings. But the caveat to this, which I think that these other booktubers are missing here, is the studies looking at the stories themselves. The 12 stories ranged in a word count from 1,300 words to 4,000 words, roughly. And now to be exact, it's 1,381 to 4,220. That's
a chapter of a book.
That's a chapter of a book. Look at Dune. I don't know how long the first chapter of Dune, but it's one chapter of these books here is the whole story that they were read. So to take that small of a story and extrapolate that to say, hey, people enjoy stories more once it's spoiled, absolutely does not work. Whereas if I came to you, Richie, and I said, that 14-book series right there, Wheel of Time, and just, I mean, you know the ending, I haven't read it yet, but you to me just went, here's what happens in book 14, here's a big plot point.
It matters more.
It matters so much more. Length matters. Size.
Exactly.
Size. Oh God.
Size does matter.
Size does matter.
Size does matter. No matter what lies BookTube tells you, size does matter.
Suddenly, I'm no longer on our side anymore. I don't want this to be the case.
What do you mean by that?
It is very different of spoiling, say, like an episode is not an episode of a TV show is not as bad as spoiling a movie. Neither is spoiling a movie is not nearly as bad as spoiling a book, and so on and so forth. You know, it's the worst thing you could possibly do is spoil a book series, especially a long book series, where let's say you're on book 1 and someone spoils something on book 7. It means you have to go through 6 more books to get to that spoiler, and it hurts all the more, and it ruins a lot of the experience.
A lot of people also say that, hey, if the story gets spoiled for you and it's no longer enjoyable, that's a case of a bad story, because the spoiler shouldn't ruin it. Now, in that case, I'd say a couple things. One, the authors, the directors, the auteurs. Why are you looking at me like that?
Oh, I wanted some silence, because you got to give the watchers some time to write their comment down below before we continue on the video.
To reflect how pretentious that was.
I'm just hoping that they comment down below, like, auteurs, really?
Yeah.
And then just unsub.
I disagree.
I'm just imagining that's what it's going to be.
Remember, unsubscribe. And also join our Patreon.
Comment unsubscribe in the comments below.
We also do have a Patreon where we go over and have a book club, and we talk with people on our private Discord.
Yeah, if you want to talk with this pretentious prick for more time and have direct access and get into a book club with us, where we do once a month, we have this book we all collectively read. It's a lot of fun, even though he's in it, but it's still a lot of fun.
The authors. What was I saying? I'm never using that word again. I actually read it in a review once. I was like, I'm so using that on the pod. I want to sound smart. Or use it on a video. So the authors, the directors, the storytellers, they write stories in certain ways. And a perfect example of this is, hey, if they want you to know something, they will. Alfred Hitchcock being the epitome of this, where you showed me a fantastic movie called Rope, where you find out, and I'll let you take this because it's your movie you showed me.
Yeah, so the movie is a great use of, there's a storytelling technique that Alfred Hitchcock talks about, which is this analogy of the bomb under the table story, where the audience knows there's a bomb under the table, but the characters don't, and so there's a feeling of suspense during the whole time. So the movie Rope is a lot like this. I'm not spoiling anything because this is literally the first scene of the movie. So the movie starts off with 2 friends murder their 3rd friend, stuff his body in a box, and host a dinner party with their dead friends, family, and friends all around.
This is first scene, intro to the movie.
Intro to the movie. And so the whole movie is this suspenseful story, and where the audience knows there's a dead body in the box, and you see like the mother leaning over. It's very suspenseful. But to that point, suspense can only be held for so long. For a movie, it works. For a short story, it works. If you have to hold your suspense for hours at a time, it's gonna fall flat. You can't hold your suspense for that long. People get exhausted from it. That's where a spoiler actually hurts. You give someone a spoiler before on some type of story, and now there's a feeling of suspense because they know what's going to happen. They can't hold that forever, and that is what ruins it.
And the further out that spoiler is, like 7 books in, 8 books in, you're more so just going, oh, I know what happens here, so does what you're reading currently matter less?
It happens frequently where I've been spoiled on stuff where it happens like 2 books later, and it happened with me on the books in Robin Hobb, and where it doesn't ruin it completely. It
Yeah.
makes me think, oh, why should I read the next book when I know what's going to happen in the book following?
Right.
Like, I know where some of this stuff goes nowhere. Or I know some of this stuff is kind of pointless and that there's going to be a surprise. It makes me think, do I really want to invest 20, 30 hours into a book where I already know what's going?
And now, to be fair, it's not like spoilers ruin everything. So there's other aspects of a story. It's not just the plot. There's the characters, how they react. There's the feelings. There's the writing. There's if you're watching something, the visuals. So much more than that. But to make the case that, hey, we should just, spoilers here, spoilers there, and that was my Bookborn impression. That was such a... So if you're just saying stuff like that, and to be fair, that's also not exactly what she's saying. She said this study, and other people, so many YouTubers have been looking at this study and saying, wow, I didn't know that spoilers actually increase enjoyment, to the fact that it matters. The length of the story matters. How if you want to know a spoiler of a story, there's a reason that Alfred Hitchcock tells you in the first minute there's a dead body, because it creates that suspense intentionally. And the spoiler of it, what you'd want to find out, is what happens with the family. How do they react? Do they find out about the dead body? There's all these questions and intrigue. You want to see the interactions. It would kind of damper it a bit if I just told you this and this and this is what happens.
Yeah.
And you know what else would, think about this. Would you be okay if I told you the exact day that you die?
No, I would not like that particularly.
Unless it was 24 hours from now, where it would be suspenseful and you'd be like, well, crap, that's interesting. But if I told you 20 years down the line...
That is true. I would I would actually like, if I knew I was going to die like in a week.
Yeah.
I would like to know that, because I'd be like, okay, I got a week to live. I got stuff.
So we would spend all that time together.
You mean none?
No,
I would spend none of that time.
You and I, we'd have to backlog a ton of podcasts if you're going to be dead. Think about it.
That's fair.
We'd have to record 50 to, just so it works for me when you're gone.
Yes, that's what I need. Okay. You're my first priority.
But it is something to think about. Spoilers do matter. Yeah. I get what people say, and that I think
the main purpose of the whole video is that this study this study says one thing, and a lot of people on YouTube and booktubers kind of extrapolate from the study that it would apply to longer books.
Yeah,
I think that extrapolation is far-fetched, to say the least. So yes, it may apply to some short stories, may apply to some TV shows, but the longer you go on, just don't think it works.
So even though the 11 out of 12 people seem to enjoy the story more, not the case when you extrapolate further.
More people, but 11 out of 12 stories.
Yes, good correction. It was 11 out of 12 stories were enjoyed more by the spoiled people. So I was trying to transition to that into 11 out of 12 people here.
Yeah, look at that.
Subscribe.
I know the story.
Oh,
I know the study.
It didn't even work.
I don't respect studies, but I at least know them.
So this has been science. This has been
debunking science with Tutor Ramble, because white jacket people are lame. Comment down below and tell us what you guys think of science, and spoilers down below, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Doctors actually, the whole hospital sphere scares me a little bit. All the white clinic.